What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching the TF Movie Show. This is just a web series where we're talking about the Transformers live-action movie franchise. It's episode number 2, and in this episode, we're just going to talk about some of the things that I talked about in the previous episode, and also we're going to talk about the new film that would be the Bumblebee movie. And honestly speaking, there's not a whole lot to talk about with regards to the Bumblebee movie because, principal photography wrapped last year in November, and then they're heavily into post-production. So what's there to talk about? Of course, merchandising. Merchandising makes up a huge aspect of these films. I mean, that's what these films are really all about. These giant toy and car commercials. That's what it's all about. We're going to talk about that. And so let's just get right into it. So, we're just going to talk about something that I mentioned in the previous episode. In the previous episode, I talked about the Transformers movie reboot. A reboot is happening in some way, shape, or form. And I mentioned in episode 1 that the Transformers reboot is a great idea. It's definitely a positive direction for Hasbro, for Paramount, for the franchise as a whole. It's a great idea. But not everybody thought so. So I really just wanted to know. I put a poll out there on Twitter. I said, do you want to see a reboot of live-action Transformers franchise? Vote down below, hashtag Transformers movie reboot. And here are the results. Based on the 8,000 plus fans that I reached out to on Twitter, that's how many followers I got, only 635 people voted, and here is that sample. And we got 65% voted yes, reboot it. Now, out of those people who voted in the 65%, they said that they wanted to reboot it, but I didn't specify whether you wanted rebooted right now or rebooted after they wrapped up the previous story with Quintessa and Unicron and all that. Regardless, the fact is that 65% of you guys wanted it rebooted. 20% said no, keep Michael Bay's vision. Basically, they want to keep it going, follow it up after Transformers Last Night and keep that story going so that we can find out what's going on with Quintessa and Unicron. And 50% just don't care. Maybe you don't care because you've lost faith in the franchise, but you still want to watch more, or you just don't care completely because you just really don't care at this point. You think that the films really don't matter that much, so do whatever. But the fact is that 65% of the fans do want to watch a reboot. Maybe they're tired of Michael Bay's vision. I know that I want to see a new vision, and I think that change is positive. Change is a good thing. Sure, it's not easy to adjust to that, but the fact is that once you've seen the same thing over and over and over again, in the same way, the same formula, it gets tired out. So I'm ready for a change, and that's what I want, and that's what 65% of 635 votes want. So there you have it. Now, there was obviously a big reveal at Toy Fair, and it wasn't just about the toys, because there weren't any Bumblebee toys to be revealed, but there was talk about the reboot. And I was reading the comments on episode 1 of the TF Movie Show, and a lot of people, a number of people were not even sure if a reboot was even happening. In fact, a lot of people didn't believe that a reboot is happening because they read something. And what they read was a quote from Hasbro's John Warden. I'm not sure what his position is, but he's from Hasbro, and he said, "Don't believe what you hear, don't worry." And that's with regards to the reboot. And I got to clarify something on that. Well, I'm not going to do the clarification. Somebody else is going to do the clarification. Now, that quote was taken from Hasbro John Warning, posted from Bleeding Cool, the website Bleeding Cool. And there is some clarification that needs to be made because this is a follow-up to that quote. And this is from the Transformers fan site, tfu.info. It says, "Shocking that Bleeding Cool got it wrong. Nice story with no attribution of the quote or context. Nothing I have from the Transformers interview session even comes close to this quote." So, where did that quote even come from? Maybe they took something that they said and then just spit out a version of that. But that's not exactly what he said, and it doesn't even come close to that. So I think, don't believe everything that you see on the internet, even if it says don't believe what you hear, don't worry. So, all you got to know right now is that this is the honest truth. And they're just going to wait to see what happens with the movie. With the Bumblebee movie, they're just going to wait and see what happens, and then they're going to make the final decision. But like I said before in episode 1, you're not going to see an official press release or an announcement until it gets closer to that date when they feel that things are more solid and stable. Right now, they don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on, and you don't know what you don't know. They don't know what they don't know because they don't know what's going to happen. You know, they don't know if this film's going to be a success. Why jump the gun and just say, like, things are going to be rebooted? They're not mentioning anything in the form of a reboot. They're just thinking that they might do something different after Bumblebee, and that's all you need to know. Okay? So let's talk about Bumblebee. Let's move on talking about Bumblebee. Like I said before, it's all about merchandising. So TFW2005.com got some info on the toys. And of course, they, you know, like every other line, there's going to be the non-main line products. Like, for example, there's role play items, there's the tiny turbo changers, there's the power cores, there's the energon igniters and all that stuff, all the gimmicky stuff that a lot of people don't really care about, you know, except there's a lot of people who do like it. But me and a lot of other fans, we just like the mainline stuff, like the deluxes, the Voyagers, the leader classes, or whatever, right? All that stuff, that's the main line, right? But something I thought was really interesting was one of the roleplay items, and it was revealed, or rather leaked, an image of the Bumblebee's roleplay mask, voice-changing helmet. Now, they released these with every film, and we got like an Optimus Prime voice-changing helmet. There's a Megatron mask, a Bumblebee's mask, and now we have the Bumblebee mask for the Bumblebee movie film, and this is what it looks like. And this is like a look at Bumblebee's head. And of course, I've always known that Bumblebee's head in this film has got to look the same way, or at least similar, or have that same style as the previous 5 films. It needed to look that way because this is still in Michael Bay's universe. Until we reboot it, we're going to get a completely... we would have gotten a completely different look, but like, because this is the same universe as Michael Bay's universe, it's still going to look the same, and it does look the same. Check this out. It does look the same, but because Bumblebee is a Volkswagen Beetle, or Bug, is it a Beetle or Bug? Bug, yeah, Bug, from the 80s, it's a lot more of a simpler car. Those were simpler times back then, so therefore the vehicle mode is also simple, and therefore the mask, or rather his head sculpt, is less busy. This is what Bumblebee looks like. This is what he looked like in the previous films, but it's less busy. There's a lot less going on here. It's a cleaner look, but I can't say that I like it. It's definitely like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a lot of robot like looks from the 80s, and I feel that that's appropriate. I feel that this is an appropriate look, but it doesn't mean that I'm excited about it. It doesn't mean that I'm feeling really like whoa, this is cool. I don't feel anything like that. I'm used to this look. It doesn't do very much for me as I continue to see Bumblebee's new look, or his looks as he progressed throughout the films. It doesn't do anything for me because I've seen this again and again and again and again, and this is the 6th movie in, and it's still the same type of look. But I did not ever, did I not ever expect them to change it that much. Let's take a look at how he's different, really. I mean, we got the Autobot logo on the top of the head. It's something that we've seen in the past, obviously. The round eyes are there. The voice, I mean, rather not the voice thing, but the mouth is there, you know, the way it looked like before. But what I found the most different is these side vents on the side of his face, like right on the cheeks. That is something that I know is very, very different, and it just looks, it just doesn't look that cool to me. I thought Bumblebee had I didn't say he looked, I don't think he had a cool looking head sculpt, but he just looked like Bumblebee. I mean, that's Bumblebee, right? This is still Bumblebee, but they really, really simplified him, and I won't say that I don't like it. It's just not anything that I didn't expect. I expected it to look something like this, and it doesn't do anything for me. It really doesn't do anything for me. And I have a feeling that even his alt mode, like the rest of his body, really will be simplified as well, as I've already seen leaked photos of the RC car, like the radio-controlled car. I know what that looks like. I know what his body looks like. It won't look that much different. It's going to be less complicated, more simplified, and that's what's going to be. So it could also be a reflection of the way the toy is going to look like, where it's going to be less complicated in terms of the transformation. The Volkswagen Bug is a simpler vehicle. It's probably going to have a simpler transformation. It's definitely not going to look so complicated like the Camaro was in terms of all the moving parts. So there you have it. That's his head. Now, when are we going to see the rest of the toy line? Because that's obviously a pretty big deal. We are getting a total of 4 characters, as far as I know. When are we going to see the rest of that? It ain't happening at HasCon. HasCon's not going to make that reveal just because HasCon is happening in 2019. So when's the next time we're going to see the reveal? I'm just thinking that this would be a great opportunity for Hasbro to release stuff either at San Diego Comic-Con, which is happening in July, or New York Toy Fair. Or sorry, is it New York Toy Fair? No, New York Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. That's happening in September, October. Yeah, somewhere around that time. So I'm thinking that like with 2 high-profile events like San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, that's the next time we're actually going to see something official. And I think that's a great time to do it. So there you have it. Probably going to see a Hasbro booth with all new toys and stuff like that. So very, very cool. But there you have it. That is the look of Bumblebee's head. And it doesn't do anything for me, but I'm excited to see the rest of the line and what else is going to be revealed. Speaking of the rest of the line, there's another a reveal for a toy that we're getting from the Bumblebee movie, and that is, you know, Jada, the die-cast vehicle brand, die-cast vehicles. They made they made vehicles from the last movie, like Crosshairs and Hot Rod and Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, as well as Barricade. They're making them for Bumblebee. They're doing a die-cast vehicle for Bumblebee, as well as the Peterbilt Optimus Prime, as well as G1, a G1 Optimus Prime, as well as a G1 Volkswagen Bug from the cartoon. But you can see over here, this blacked out one. This is from Transformers, and is most likely the Transformers Bumblebee film, because they didn't reveal anything here. And it's probably going to look slightly different from the Volkswagen Bug from the cartoon as pictured here. But it looks like we're getting that, and I would be excited to get that because I actually got I got all the Autobots from the Transformers Last Night Jada diecast line. I really like that scale. So we are getting the Volkswagen Bug from the next film. That's something to look forward to because they make really good diecast vehicles, and that's a really good scale. So definitely looking forward to that, and I am going to add that to my collection along with the Peterbilt and the G1 Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. So more money to be spent. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this episode. I got a lot more stuff to talk about, so stay tuned for episode 3. You know, this web series is really about the entire franchise as a whole, not just the Bumblebee film. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Make sure you stay subscribed, and we're going to talk about the future of the Transformers live action movie franchise, and of course, like whether or not a reboot is happening. There's a lot more stuff I got to talk about, so make sure you stay tuned. As always, if you enjoyed this video, you want to see more, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.